Are you one of those parents who want their young kids to speak well in English? Or are you a teacher who's thinking of teaching very young kids English? Then this video is for you. Point, touch, pick up. Now from those basic verbs in now. Hey there, welcome back to Gravy English, your go-to channel for everything about better English. It's me again, Teacher Chris. So this afternoon, my husband had to drop by at his office to get some stuff. And because I was not busy yet, I had nothing to do yet, I decided to tag along and I brought our one-year-old daughter. As he was finishing his errand at the office, I was left with my daughter inside the car. So while we were waiting, I thought of reading an English storybook to her. You know, it's been our habit to bring some books and some writing materials or papers and some coloring materials so kids won't get bored when they're waiting in. I read to her and I noticed that she was really amused looking at the pictures in the book, and she listened very intently when I was reading the words and the sentences to her in that book. And as I was doing that, I suddenly thought of the very young kids that I teach in my online English classes. Now, you know, these kids are very young. My youngest is 6 years old. But I know teachers who teach kids as young as 3, 4, and 5 years old. Now these kids, they actually cry and they throw tantrums, especially in the first few classes. And I can't really blame them. I guess it's because they are not used to this kind of education, and you know, they are made to sit for a long time, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 1 hour. And for them, it's not really something fun. So the parents had to sit together with them, and even that, or even with their parents with them, they can't sit for a long time. 1 minute they're sitting down, but a few minutes later they would be running away or running around. So the parents had to be helicopter parents, and they have to spend a long time with the kid and spend a lot of time interfering in their classes. And I cannot blame the kids. And I also cannot blame the parents, because obviously they only would want the best for the kids. It's because of the COVID pandemic, they have to stay at home, but they don't want their kids to miss out, so they let them take online classes instead. But by doing so, it's also very difficult for the kids. Personally, based on my experience as a teacher, I wouldn't really advise giving an online English class to a very young kid, say 3 to 5 years old, for a number of reasons. And one of them is that these kids, they have fleeting attention span. I mean, it's very difficult to let them sit down for an hour or even just for 30 minutes because they are not used to that. I mean, at home we can see them running around, and if they've been to a preschool or maybe a daycare center, then most likely most of the day they would just be playing with their classmates or talking to their teachers, drawing some pictures, or writing with their teachers. But online learning is very different from that. Obviously, they would have to sit down there, face their camera, and listen to the teacher as he or she speaks, and follow the teacher, whatever he or she asked them to do. So it's very different for them, and because of that, they cannot stay still for a long time. Another thing is online English classes could be causing them anxiety because they are talking to people that they are not used to, especially if the teacher is a foreigner. In my case, I teach foreign students, I teach Japanese and Chinese students, so I probably don't look like the teachers that they are used to, and I don't speak like the teachers that they hear most of the time when they're at home or when they are in school. Given the situation, I thought that maybe it's not really a very good thing to let young kids as early as 3 to 5 years old to learn English from a tutor, especially online. Well, it's a good thing that parents do, because yes, we get to keep the job as teachers for these kids. But if you think about it, maybe we as parents have to realize that we need to take the bigger role to educate our kids to learn a second language. Now, this is not really something new, because we as parents taught these kids their first language, right? So I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel to teach them a second language. The secret is, which is by the way not really a secret, is to teach them a second language like English the way that we teach them the first language. Now, whether we should teach the first language first and let them master that before we teach them another language like English would be a discussion for another video. But anyway, for this video, what I'm just saying is we don't have to really reinvent the wheel, and we can teach them the way that we are teaching them to learn their mother tongue or their original language. Another thing is you need not have a teaching license or certification to teach your kids English. I mean to say, if you are sitting there with your kid and you can understand what his or her tutor is saying in English, then most likely you have a good level of English. And if you're listening to this video and you can understand what I'm saying perfectly, then you are more than enough to teach your kid English. And the thing is, there are actually many advantages to teaching your own kids English. First, it's very convenient and flexible. You need not really fix a time to teach your kids English. You can pick the most convenient time for you and the kid. And you also can make every day, every time a learning opportunity. You can make learning more fun for your kid. I mean to say, you need not really set aside a formal time or maybe a serious lesson just to teach English. Your kid can learn English with you even he or she is playing with you. Teaching kids yourself also saves you a lot of money. It's almost free. I'm saying that it's almost because it's not totally free. You need to spend time with them, and of course time is money. But compared with hiring a tutor, you would be saving a considerable amount of money. Last but not the least, teaching kids yourself is also emotionally better for your kids. And that is because if you are their teacher, then they are less stressed, they are less embarrassed whenever they make mistakes, and because of that, they are less anxious when they are learning their second language. So how do you teach your kids English? Well, it's actually very easy. The keys are communication and patience. I say that it's communication because you need to be constantly talking to your kids. So take really some time to really talk to them and interact with them. And you need some patience as well, because it takes time to let them learn or make them learn, be more considerate, and that you really give them time to digest and to practice what they have learned with you. Teaching your kids basic English is actually quite easy. You need not buy very expensive English books or picture books. Just everyday objects, whatever you have at home can be used as a learning material. Now, what do you actually teach your kids? Well, it's quite easy. You can start off with something like verbs or action words that they can use in their everyday life. So start with teaching them words like point or touch, or maybe pick up. So these are very simple verbs, but they can already be used to communicate their thoughts or ideas. Now, from those verbs, you can teach them some vocabulary. So from point, you can teach them point to the ceiling. So start teaching the word ceiling, or point to the floor, or maybe touch your head, or touch your shoulder. So from those basic verbs, you can introduce to them some basic vocabulary, words like parts of the body, numbers, colors, or parts of the house. Those things that they can readily see around them. If you had an English class in elementary school, then most probably you know these basic words yourself. So you can also teach them to your kids. Now, from those basic verbs and nouns or names of things, you can already move on to teaching them how to ask questions and how to answer those questions. So for example, you can teach them basic questions like, what's this? What's that? Or where is something? How many? What's your name? Okay, and from that they can learn how to answer questions. So for example, teach them using sentence stems like, it's something, it's a book, it's a pencil, or with something like, this is a blank, this is a chair, this is a table, this is a boy. Or you can practice with, I like something, I like fruits, I like vegetables. Now, if they're more comfortable with that, then you can already teach them some basic sentences that they can use to express their opinion. So something like, I like something because blah blah blah. Example, I like oranges because they're healthier. You can also teach them with sentences like, I don't like it because blah blah blah. So something like, I don't like chocolate because it's too sweet. Or I don't like junk food because they're not healthy. Or you can teach statements like, A is better than B because blah blah blah. For example, mangoes are better than junk foods because they're healthier. So you see, it's not really very difficult to teach a very young kid English. Even if you have a very basic knowledge of English, you can teach them some very simple English words, phrases, and sentences that they can already use when they communicate with someone in that language. The key is to just really communicate with them, interact with them, and have the patience to practice with them whenever there is an opportunity. Well, anyway, thanks for spending the time to watch this video. I hope you have learned and realized something valuable. If you've learned something today, or you think what I'm saying here is helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe with notification. And yeah, please do practice teaching your kids, or try teaching them yourself first, and let me know how it turned out. And I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!